If you're even thinking about starting a family, you have probably been hit with a tidal wave of confusing and, let's be honest, conflicting advice. Well, today we're going to cut through all of that noise. We're using insights from fertility expert Dr. Natalie Crawford to debunk 5 of the biggest, most persistent fertility myths out there. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, right off the bat, let's tackle a huge one. You've probably been told your whole life that as long as your period shows up like clockwork every month, everything's got to be in perfect working order, right? But is that really the whole story? As we're about to find out, what's happening behind the scenes is, well, it's way more interesting than that.
So our first myth is this idea that a regular cycle is basically an automatic green light for fertility. And look, while it's definitely a positive sign, it's just the headline. It's not the full story.
Miss right here, this challenges a super common medical shortcut. You know, a lot of doctors will just ask, are your cycles regular? And if you say yes, they just move on. But ovulation isn't just an on or off switch. It's a whole spectrum. You can be ovulating regularly, but there could still be underlying issues that are affecting the quality of that ovulation.
So to really get this, we need to quickly look at the 2 halves of your monthly cycle. First, you've got the follicular phase, that's when the egg is growing. Then you have the luteal phase, which is everything that happens after the egg is released. The length of these phases can actually give us huge clues about deeper issues. Things like your thyroid, your prolactin levels, or your ovarian reserve, which is, your overall egg count. So it's not just if you're ovulating, it's how well you're doing it.
All right, let's get to our second major myth. And wow, this one is a massive cultural blind spot. For decades, pretty much the entire conversation and all of the pressure around infertility has been put almost entirely on women. But the biology tells a completely different story. Just look at that number, 50%. That is not some small fraction. It's half. This one stat completely reframes the entire conversation. So, what this means is when a couple is having a hard time conceiving, there's an equal 50-50 chance the issue is related to the male partner. And this chart just really drives that point home. It is a 50-50 split. Dr. Crawford actually says it's unacceptable that couples are often told to try for a whole year before something as simple as a semen analysis is even brought up. The data is so clear. From day one, both partners need to be part of the conversation.
Now here's the really empowering part of this whole equation. The entire life cycle of sperm, from the moment it's created to, ejaculation, is about 90 days. So why does this matter so much? It means that positive lifestyle changes a man makes, things like improving his diet, cutting out smoking, maybe reducing alcohol, can have a really significant, measurable impact on sperm health in just 3 months. This isn't some years-long process. It's an opportunity to make a real difference pretty quickly.
Okay, we've hit our midpoint, and this is a big one. It's a factor that affects both partners. It's becoming a huge focus in pretty much all areas of medicine, but for some reason it's often dismissed as just a buzzword when it comes to fertility. And I'm talking about inflammation.
Now, to be super clear, we're not talking about the kind of inflammation you get when you get a cut and it gets a little puffy. We are talking about chronic, low-grade inflammation, this state where your body's defense system is just kind of constantly on high alert. This can totally mess with the delicate hormonal signals coming from your brain, and it can directly damage the quality of both eggs and sperm.
So, what can you actually do about it? This is where you can really take back some control. It starts with food. Think lots of high-fiber, plant-heavy meals. It also means being mindful of toxins, both the ones in our environment and the behavioral ones. And it means locking down your foundation. Seriously, sleep and stress management are absolutely non-negotiable. And finally, building muscle is actually an incredible tool to help your body process glucose better and fight insulin resistance, which is a huge driver of chronic inflammation.
I really want to pause on this quote from our source, Dr. Crawford, because it is so important. Lifestyle is not extra. It's foundational. These changes aren't just, bonus points you get for trying hard. They are the actual building blocks that good fertility health is built on for both partners.
All right, on to myth number 4. This one's all about timing. There's this old rule book out there that basically dictates when you're allowed to go ask for help with fertility. But as the world changes, that rule book is getting seriously outdated.
Let's just look at the data for a second. A decade ago, the statistic was that 1 in 8 couples dealt with infertility. Today, in the US, that number is 1 in 5. That is a huge jump. The landscape has totally changed, and so our approach to getting help needs to change right along with it. So yeah, the old school medical definition of infertility has always been trying for 12 months without success if you're under 35. But in today's world where infertility rates are going up and people are often starting their families later, waiting a full year can feel like an absolute eternity. Dr. Crawford is crystal clear. This is outdated advice. You do not need to wait for some formal diagnosis to start getting answers.
Being proactive is everything. You can ask for just a few simple tests to get a baseline understanding of what's going on. An AMH blood test can give you insight into your ovarian reserve, your egg count. An anatomy check makes sure the uterus and fallopian tubes look normal. And, like we've already talked about, a semen analysis should be on the table from the very beginning. These tests give you knowledge, and knowledge is power.
And here we are, at our final myth. This is one that is surrounded by a lot of misinformation online. We're going back to the menstrual cycle to focus on that second half, the luteal phase, and why really, truly understanding it is so critical.
So what even is luteal phase deficiency? It's not some vague idea. It's an actual clinical diagnosis based on patterns you can see. If your luteal phase, so the time between when you ovulate and when your period starts, is 11 days or shorter, or if you're having spotting during that time, that's a red flag. It points to a potential problem with the quality of your ovulation.
Now this is where so many people get it wrong. You might hear people talking about getting your progesterone checked, but here's the thing. Progesterone is not a steady hormone. It's released in pulses. On any given day during the luteal phase, its level can naturally bounce anywhere from 3 to 40. So a single blood test that happens to catch it at a low point is basically meaningless. It can lead to a wrong diagnosis and totally unnecessary treatment.
And here's the most important point. If your luteal phase is abnormal, the goal isn't just to slap a progesterone band-aid on it. The goal is to investigate why. An abnormal luteal phase is just the tip of the iceberg. It's a symptom of a deeper issue. The real root cause could be a thyroid problem, chronic stress, or insulin resistance, all things that can and should be addressed directly.
And this brings us completely full circle, right back to this central empowering idea. It doesn't matter if we're talking about the quality of your cycle, the health of sperm, the impact of inflammation, or why you should be proactive, it all comes back to this. The lifestyle choices you make, nutrition, stress, sleep, exercise, they are not optional extras. They are the very foundation of your reproductive health.
So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question. After everything we've talked about today, from understanding your cycle on a deeper level to seeing fertility as a true team sport, what is one tangible change you can make, starting right now, today, to become a better advocate for your own health and your fertility journey?